On Global TV News Prime, federal government reopens all 47 unity schools, reaffirms commitment to students' safety. In business, House of Representatives constitute committee to probe alleged alterations in tax laws. On the foreign scene, Central African Republic tightens security to secure elections. And in sports, FIFA increases World Cup prize money by 50%. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Shehu Said. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to the safety of students and the continuity of education nationwide following the reopening of all 47 unity colleges earlier closed this month. The Federal Ministry of Education disclosed this in a statement issued by its Director of Press and Public Relations, Boriwo Folashade. The statement said academic activities have fully resumed in the affected schools after security measures within and around the campuses were strengthened. It assured parents, guardians, and the public that the safety, welfare, and well-being of students remain a top priority of the federal government. President Bola Tinubu will this Friday present the 2026 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly. Clerk to the National Assembly, Kamoru Ogulano, disclosed this in a statement signed by Secretary, Human Resources and Staff Development of the National Assembly, Essien Ayo Essien. The National Assembly also announced restricted access to the complex from 11 a.m. for security reasons ahead of the presentation. As part of efforts to strengthen Nigeria's foreign policy, the Senate has confirmed all 64 nominees for career and non-career ambassadorial positions. This followed the adoption of a report by the Committee on Foreign Affairs, chaired by Senator Sani Bello. Topsy Gimba has details.
The confirmation was, however, not without tension, as Senator Sabi Yau objected to the non-inclusion of any nominee for Zamfara State in the ambassadorial list and called on the president to address the abnormality.
The ambassadorial nominees, and to my dismay, I couldn't find Zamfara State on the list. None, both career and non-career. So, I wonder, I wouldn't say that, I believe it must be an oversight by some officials that will have used the hands and eyes of Mr. President.
Senator Sabi Yau, Zamfara North. President of the Senate, Gosa Kwabi, acknowledged the concern, noting the list isn't exhaustive. He assured lawmakers he will raise it with President Tinubu and confirmed more nominations are coming, ensuring Zamfara's inclusion. This confirmation strengthens Nigeria's diplomatic corps amid ongoing global engagements.
The list of ambassador nominees is not exhaustive. In other words, it has not been exhausted. The number of countries are so many, and some of them are career ambassadors. The non-career ambassadors are not even as many as they ought to be, so I believe that another list will be coming, and Zamfara State cannot be left out, and will not be left out, I assure you.
President Bola Tinubu had, on December 4th, sent a request for 34 career and 31 non-career ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for confirmation. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
The House of Representatives has commenced an investigation into the growing menace of drug abuse in Nigeria, as lawmakers warn that the crisis now poses a serious threat to national stability and public health. National Assembly correspondent Aniete Patrick reports.
The probe is being carried out by an ad hoc committee on drug trafficking, alcohol and tobacco abuse, set up to expose systemic failures and recommend urgent corrective measures. Chairman of the committee, Olutimehin Adelegbe, said the investigation would focus on the widespread abuse of cannabis, tramadol, codeine-based cough syrups, as well as harmful alcoholic mixtures and tobacco products.
Enactment of National Alcohol Act, enforcement of smoke-free spaces, digital tracking of pharmaceutical products, enforcement of drug prescription law.
He warned that weak enforcement at ports and borders has allowed fake drugs and unregistered substances to flood the market, leaving entire communities devastated by addiction, crime, and preventable deaths.
Business model can be allowed to thrive at the expense of Nigerian lives. No profit margin can justify the destruction of our youth.
The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime also raised fresh concerns, describing drug use in Nigeria as alarming and far above the global average.
Drug trafficking is not merely a law enforcement issue. It is not only about NDLA or NAFDAC or what have you. It's an economic crime.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency pledged its support for the investigation, calling for stronger legislation, improved regulation, enhanced treatment systems, and increased operational resources to curb drug abuse and trafficking nationwide.
Increased use of non-conventional routes, including courier services, luggage consignment, and digital ordering systems. Growing involvement of transnational criminal networks exploiting regional instability and porous borders. Emergence of clandestine methamphetamine laboratories, particularly in the fringe urban and rural settlements.
Lawmakers say recommendations from the investigation will guide reforms aimed at protecting public health, saving lives, and strengthening Nigeria's fight against illicit drugs. From the National Assembly, Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
And away from legislative matters, elderly citizens and widows in Imo State have received financial and medical assistance under the renewed Hope Initiative Elderly Support Scheme to cushion economic hardship during the Yuletide season. Nigeria's First Lady and National Chairman of the initiative, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, was represented at the event by the wife of the Igbo State Governor, Mrs. Chioma Uzodinma. Our correspondent Amarach Ibe has the details.
The distribution exercise in Owerri brings together elderly beneficiaries from across the state, with each recipient receiving 200,000 naira alongside medical support. Delivering the First Lady's address, the wife of Imo State Governor Chioma Uzodinma says the scheme, themed Finding Joy in Old Age, is aimed at ensuring senior citizens live with dignity, comfort, and proper care. She states that 9,500 vulnerable elderly persons aged 65 and above are benefiting nationwide, covering the 36 states, the Federal Capital Territory, and members of Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association.
As we approach the festive season, it is crucial to emphasize the importance of prioritizing our elderly citizens in our initiatives. They have walked difficult paths so that the younger generations may have smoother roads to travel. It is therefore our moral duty and indeed our joy to ensure that they live their twilight years in comfort, good health, and dignity.
The First Lady encourages senior citizens to remain active, maintain good health, and find purpose through community involvement and service to others.
My advice to our senior citizens is to do all that is possible to find joy in old age. Let us find purpose in community, compassion, and care. Let us remember that aging gracefully is not just about longevity, but about being surrounded by love, support, and respect.
Some beneficiaries express appreciation for the intervention, describing it as timely and helpful.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy. I thank God for the First Lady of Federal Republic of Nigeria and our First Lady here, Barrister Chioma Uzodinma, who deemed it necessary that the elders need to celebrate the Christmas celebration. So we are happy and we thank God.
I was very, very happy when we are gathered here today, that the wife of SLSC, invited the elderly people to do Christmas for them. So we pray that God will bless him, bless his family, since he remembered the elderly people, and give them an appreciation for Christmas party.
First Lady reiterates that the Renewed Hope initiative continues to prioritize inclusive social support for elderly citizens and other vulnerable groups. From Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
As the International Organization for Migration advocates safe and orderly migration, experts are calling for adjustments in policies. Speaking in an exclusive interview as part of activities to commemorate the significance of the day in 2025, Global Television's security and political analyst, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, said these adjustments had become necessary to ensure global policy alignment. Here is Zahra'u Nasir report.
In 2025, the International Migrant Day is marked under the theme Migrant Story, Cultures and Development, highlighting how human mobility enriches societies, drives economic growth, and strengthens connections across communities. The International Migrant Day is commemorated to acknowledge the millions of people who leave their native place or permanent shelters in search of safety, opportunity, and dignity across borders. The day is observed every year on 18 December to recognize the contributions, rights, and vulnerabilities of migrants worldwide. It draws attention to the hundreds of millions of people living or working outside their place of birth, including refugees, students, care workers, seafarers, and undocumented laborers, and highlights how migration shapes economies, cultures, and families across borders. Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, Global TV Security and Political Analyst, says the policy framework which they are working now needs to be expanded to work on safety, protection, and other measures of control.
Migration has been one of the openings for exploration, ventures, businesses, and all, even science and technology. Well, I think the International Organization for Migration needs to make some adjustment in their policies. Why? Because some of the policies are actually obsolete. But you want to have total control. You can't have total control without preventive measures, without safety, without security, without other foreign policies taken into consideration.
The United Nations General Assembly chose 18 December for the day to mark the anniversary of the 1990 adoption by the United Nations General Assembly of the International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of All Migrants, Workers, and Members of Their Families. Zahra'u Nasir, reporting for Global TV News.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the reconstitution of the board of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission following the Senate's confirmation of its members on December 16. Special Advisor on Information and Strategy to the President, Bayo Onanuga, said in a statement that Dr. Musiliu Olalekun Oseni has been appointed chairman of the commission. And Minister of Works David Umahi has defended President Bola Tinubu's record in the Southeast, dismissing claims by Senator Anyana Baribe that the region has no reason to support the president, warning that such assertions distort facts and ignore measurable progress. Speaking in Abuja at a press briefing, Umahi said Abaribe's remarks amounted to an attack on the reality of federal investment in the Southeast under President Tinubu. He noted that his response was neither emotional nor partisan, but rooted in governance, facts, and verifiable outcomes, insisting that the Southeast has benefited significantly under President Tinubu. You are watching the live broadcast of News Prime. When News Prime returns, Central African Republic tightens security for the December 26 presidential elections. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Yeah, welcome back, and we begin with business report, where the House of Representatives has set up a special panel to investigate alleged discrepancies in Nigeria's gazetted tax laws, even as political realignments continue in the National Assembly, with 4 lawmakers from Rivers State defecting to the ruling party. National Assembly correspondent Aniete Patrick tells us more.
The House of Representatives has constituted a 7-member committee to probe claims that the tax laws published in the official government gazette do not reflect what was passed by the National Assembly. Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, announced the composition of the committee during plenary on Thursday. The panel is chaired by Mukhtar Betara, with Idris Wase, James Faleke, Sada Soli, Iduma Igariwe, Frederick Agbedi and Babajimi Benson as members.
I'm happy to announce to you that the following members have been appointed to the committee. They have 1 week within which to report to this honorable House their findings and their investigation. Thank you.
The investigation follows a claim by Abdul Samad Dasuki, a lawmaker from Sokoto State, who alleged that the gazetted tax laws available to Nigerians differ from the versions approved by Parliament.
We passed the tax laws on this floor, and Mr. Speaker, I took my time in the last 3 days to look at the gazetted past copy, the vote and proceedings of the House of Representatives, and also went an extra mile to look at the vote and proceedings of the Senate of what was harmonized. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what I passed on this floor is not what is gazetted.
Meanwhile, 4 lawmakers from Rivers State have defected to the All Progressives Congress (APC). Umezeruke Manuchi moved from the Labour Party to the APC, while Boniface Emeregwa, Awaji Inombek Abiante and Boma Goodhead defected from the People's Democratic Party. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas read the letters of defection on the floor of the House, with the lawmakers citing leadership crisis within the PDP as the reason for their decision.
I write to notify the House of Representatives that I have resigned my membership of the Labour Party to All Progressive Congress (APC). Consequent upon the above, I hereby decamp from the PDP to formally join the All Progressive Congress (APC) with immediate effect.
The defections add to a growing wave of lawmakers crossing over to the ruling party, particularly from Rivers State, following the recent defection of Governor Similari Fubara and several members of the State House of Assembly. In a related development, President Bola Tinubu has written to the House seeking permission to address a joint session of the National Assembly at noon on Friday, December 19th, for the formal presentation of the 2026 national budget. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
The federal government has strengthened its Blue Economy Initiative with the approval of the Bakassi Deep Sea Port, as the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, presented the project's certificate of compliance to the Cross River State Governor, Basi Otu. The minister described the Bakassi Deep Sea Port as a strategic national asset aligned with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, particularly in efforts to position Nigeria as a competitive maritime and logistics hub. He assured that the federal government will continue to support Cross River State to ensure the successful delivery of the project, while commending Governor Otu for his commitment and the pace of work on the seaport. And we move to the foreign scene, where reinforcements from the Central African Armed Forces, known as FACA, have been deployed to the Vakaga region with support from the United Nations peacekeeping mission. Authorities move to secure the country's upcoming elections. The additional troops were deployed as part of the Integrated Election Security Plan. The Central African Republic is preparing to hold presidential, parliamentary and municipal elections on December 28, the first local government polls in decades. The United Nations Human Rights Council has ordered investigators to probe alleged atrocities in Sudan's El Fasher and to seek to identify perpetrators so they can be brought to justice. Speaking at a press conference in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, UN Under-Secretary General and Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, Chaloka Beyani, stated that there is a strong indication that the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, has committed large atrocities in El Fasher and beyond. Ademofegbe has the rest of the story.
The RSF's violent takeover of the army's last holdout position in the Darfur region in October has led to international outrage. The United Nations top rights body adopted a resolution ordering the UN's independent fact-finding mission on Sudan to urgently investigate violations in El Fasher, with the text calling on the investigative team to identify, where possible, suspected perpetrators in a bid to ensure they are held accountable.
There's a strong indication that RSF has committed large atrocities in El Fasher and beyond, including murder, rape, sexual slavery, torture, forced displacement, ethnic persecution targeting non-Arab communities, use of starvation as a method of warfare, depriving civilians of food, medicine, and relief supplies.
The decision came at the end of a special session called to address the situation in El Fasher amid mounting warnings of crimes against humanity and the risk of genocide. Beyani also blamed the Sudanese government as well as RSF for the scale of carnage and destruction recorded in the country.
Both sides have destroyed medical centers, markets, water and food systems, as well as displacement camps. Hospitals and medical facilities are under siege. Humanitarian relief is being weaponized. Access to aid is denied, and humanitarian workers are deliberately targeted, thus worsening the crisis.
Since breaking out in April 2023, the war between Sudan's army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces has killed tens of thousands of people, displaced nearly 12 million more, and triggered one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. The violence has escalated dramatically in recent weeks, with the RSF seizing control of key town of El Fasher in Sudan's western Darfur region after an 18-month siege, and reports of atrocities multiplying. Uyi Agbomofwegbe reporting for Global TV News.
European Union leaders have gathered in Brussels to hold a vote on whether they are able to use nearly $200 billion in frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine over the next 2 years. Inside Ukraine, Russian forces have carried out a number of attacks across the country, injuring dozens of people. Meanwhile, 3 people, including 2 crew members of a cargo vessel, have been killed in Ukrainian drone attacks on a Russian port. Qatar's Prime Minister has warned that daily Israeli breaches of the Gaza ceasefire are threatening the entire agreement, as he called for urgent progress towards the next phase of the deal to end Israel's genocidal war on the besieged Palestinian enclave. Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim Al Thani made the appeal following talks with United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, where he stressed that delays and ceasefire violations engender the entire process and place mediators in a difficult position. The Qatari premier, whose country has played a critical mediating role, said humanitarian aid must reach Gaza unconditionally and that the second phase of the agreement must begin immediately. And we go to sports, where the winners of the 2026 FIFA World Cup will receive $50 million in prize money as part of a record $655 million total prize fund announced by FIFA. The tournament, to be hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada, will feature 48 teams for the first time. Teams eliminated at the group stage will receive $9 million, while all participating nations will get an additional $1.5 million for preparation costs. Meanwhile, FIFA has punished Malaysia with 3-0 defeats in 3 matches after they were found guilty of fielding ineligible players. This was confirmed by the Football Association of Malaysia. The results involved include victories in friendly matches against Palestine and Singapore and a draw with Cape Verde. And that's it on News Prime. Here is a recap of our top stories. We told you that the federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to the safety of students and the continuity of education nationwide following the reopening of all 47 unity colleges earlier closed this month as a result of insecurity. And in business, we told you that the House of Representatives has set up a special panel to investigate alleged discrepancies in Nigeria's gazetted tax laws, even as political realignments continue in the National Assembly, with 4 lawmakers from Rivers State defecting to the ruling party, APC. And on the foreign scene, reinforcements from the Central African Armed Forces known as FACA have been deployed to the Bakaba region with support from the United Nations Peacekeeping Mission as authorities move to secure the country's upcoming elections. And finally, in sports, we told you that the winners of the 2026 FIFA World Cup will receive $50 million in prize money as part of a record $655 million total prize fund announced by FIFA. And a quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TVNG. And I'm Show Said, wishing you a pleasant night rest.